two old guys, vintage and resale, Mark and Michael. Come on in, sit down.
You are live.
Oh, don't do me live.
Well, you are live. Well, you're not.
Hi everybody. This is Two Old Guys, Vintage and Resale. I'm Michael and this is my husband Mark. And we're doing a little bit different something tonight. We're going to be decorating a pumpkin, believe it or not. Look, Ma, I'm crafting. I make one of these pumpkins every year for a very dear friend of mine. I used to make them for her and her mother, and after her mother passed, I've kept up the tradition. I've made an awful lot of these over the years, but it's something that anyone can do. They're very simple, and I think they turn out well, and they're very elegant. If you do them properly, you can get a good month, 2 months out of them before they begin to go bad on you. So here we go. We're going to get started. I've done a little bit of prep already, so I won't have to dance back and forth too much. I have a pumpkin, and what I do is, the first thing I do is I paint it with this, which is a gold glitter paint. I might want to add, we are absolutely not sponsored by any of the things that you see in this. We're sponsored by Two Old Guys Vintage and Resale's wallet. But I'll be using this paint first, which I did yesterday because I like to let it sit for about 24 hours to make sure that it's good and dry and ready to go. And I paint the entire pumpkin. It'll give you a little bit of a sheen. If you go a little bit darker, a little heavier in the crevices and on the stems, it gives it a much more rich looking surface at the end. Before we get too far into it, I want to put out a special shout to Lorna, my next door neighbor, who came over and organized my entire craft space. Maybe later on Mark will pick up the camera and kind of show you what she did.
Oh, I can do that now.
Go ahead. I'm waiting for my glue gun to heat up.
Well, it should be hot. All right. So, this is Michael's craft studio that he uses once a year.
Very funny. I don't have time.
Okay.
Ready to go again?
Yep.
Okay. And after you've picked out your pumpkin, decide whether or not you're going to go with an elongated pumpkin, a round pumpkin, a Cinderella pumpkin, which is a short, fat pumpkin. And how you decorate it's going to be determined by the shape of your pumpkin. What I do first is I start out with either Spanish moss or sheet moss. And this is a big mess, so make sure that you're in a space that you don't mind cleaning up. What I've got here today is a Spanish moss. And I'm not very careful about it. I try to determine how I want my pumpkin to look when it's completed, which side I want to be the visible side. because normally we'll be putting it into a basket and it will be displayed from one side. But I like to have something interesting on all the way around it. So we're going to start out laying some of our moss down. You're going to use a load of hot glue. In this project, you're going to find, anybody can do it. It's very simple. You just wanted to make sure that you've hit and you're attaching your moss, because what you're doing is you're building a base for your decoration. And like I say, you're going to be using a lot of hot glue. And since you're using hot glue to attach everything, all of your decorations to your pumpkin, you won't be puncturing the pumpkin at all. Like I say, I've made these for many years. Started out, it was a project for church. We were having a fall celebration, and they needed something for table decorations. And I tried to decide what I could do that I could be doing ahead of time, where I wasn't doing 50 centerpieces all at once. So I came up with these, and I started making them about 2 weeks prior to needing them. Then we ended up raffling them all off as a fundraiser. Like I said, we're just kind of making a base. I'm kind of going fast here, but I don't want to bore you all to death. And when you're doing your own, you gotta stop and think. However it falls, that's the way the good Lord meant it. And I like to leave some of the imperfections on the pumpkins, just a hair. Perfection is overrated. Okay, we're going to go with this right now. And you can always go back later on if you decide you want to fill something else in, or if you want to make any changes. It's only hot glue. Pull it apart and start gluing again. What I'm going to start out with are some pine cones. What do I do with them?
Well, you got them laying all over the place.
No, well, yeah, but, well, wait a minute. I've got a whole new bag. I've got a bag of them.
We didn't bring the bag over.
I brought it over.
Okay.
I just don't know what I did with it now. Dang, did it. Look through. Well, we'll start with these. Oh, there they are right here. Alright, we're going to start out with some pine cones. And these pine cones I get out on my route. There's a really nice lady that for years and years has let me have the pine cones out of her yard once they start falling in the fall. You know, I complain a lot about my job, but you know what? I have got some wonderful people that they really do take care of me. I've been delivering to them for about 20 years. And don't be afraid. You say, oh no, I'm getting hot glue all over the place. Well, you're going to be putting some flowers or something in front of most of that. You're going to be filling in. You're going to be building up on it. It's not going to make a difference. It really will not make difference one. Most everything I use on these pumpkins, I'm just going to make a little bit of a cluster right here. We'll build one on top of another. When you're doing that, you can use the stem to help stabilize and just glue your ends of your pine cones to your stem if you'd like. What you're trying to do is just give it a little bit of shape. You might want to ask Lauren if she knows where the feathers went. I may want to put some feathers in this. And what I'm doing is just making a cluster. Pine cones. Sometimes the biggest job is going through and pulling the hot glue strings when you're finished. But you see where we're building our shapes? And again, I say, perfection is boring. And I'm using each of these pine cones to support each other. I'm pretty happy with that. And you're going to find sometimes, once you've made all your decisions on what you want to do, there will come times where you won't see some of these, even see some of these base pine cones, because you've used them all as a base for everything else that you're putting on. One thing it does do is take a heck of a lot of glue sticks. I'm going to have a happy little...
Okay, Bob Ross.
you know, I have a little cascade of pine cones. And the nice thing about these pine cones is these are smaller pine cones, and they've got a little curve to them, and they mold well on a pumpkin, on the curve of a pumpkin. Get on there, stinker. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of moving fast, but again, I don't want y'all to get bored. Sometimes I think it's like cement drying. And you might find the first time that you make one of these that sometimes your some of your pine cones or some of the flowers that you put on it may come loose. And if that's the case, get out your glue gun. Just glue it back on. We're going to start laying in a couple of these flowers. And if Mark,
Yes.
could you come in here and I can't twist this pumpkin around. I need your help.
Well, you
back on this side.
You wanted feathers, so.
Well, that's okay. If we've got them, we've got them. If we don't, we're not going to worry about it. I'm going to start laying in some of the bigger flowers now. Now that I've built up a base, and I'm just going to open holes in the moss. And all I've done is take the heads off of bush flowers. I wait until they go on sale at the local craft store. Either, I'm not going to give names, but you all know they're all out there.
Or the estate sales,
or if I can find them at estate sales. I am not above buying dead people's flowers. We went to an estate sale the other day, and this woman, I swear to, I've never in my entire life seen so many Christmas decorations. And when I'm working with big flowers, I normally will try to stay with the law of odds, and I will normally do on a pumpkin this size three to give a definition in the back. And again, with the flowers, if you find that the flowers are not sticking the way you need them to stick, use your pine cones. Just a little bit of hot glue with them. We'll give it this stabilization that it needs. This is really working out pretty well. And I never have a particular design in mind. I just kind of let the pumpkin take over. And I've had people say, well, Mike, when do you know it's done? Pumpkin will tell me, I'm done. No more. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in some green. And again, none of this is horribly expensive designer flowers. They're nice, but I didn't go to a whole lot of expense to get them. And sometimes you can find some fairly decent flowers at Dollar Tree. I don't go shopping there very often.
Well, that's one. I think there was a bag of them.
And when I'm putting in these are, anytime I'm putting in these leaves, normally what I'm doing, excuse me, is I'm tucking them up underneath either a pine cone, I'm tucking them up inside of the moss, or under the leaves of the flowers. Lorna, how's it looking?
Beautiful.
And you know what? I will get you that check tomorrow for the comment. Thank you, honey. That's sweet of you. Did I tell you all before that Lorna's my next door neighbor and she's the sweetest thing known to man? And we're so lucky because this is our little family.
Yep.
Mark and I and Lorna. And I'm very blessed.
Yes, he is.
Well, and then there's Mark. Mark's a good kid. I always say that Mark is the nice one. I'm just a pain in the butt old guy. Okay. And again, if you see here, it just looks like a big glob of glue. Well, it does right now, but we're going to fix that in a little while because we're going to use some smaller flowers and some nuts, and we're going to fill in right around that. So it's going to be good. Okay. Can you see where we've kind of decided what shape we're going to make? We're just doing a little cascade, and that gives the entire pumpkin something for your eye to travel on. Now we're going to go in, and I think I'm going to use some of these little pods. And again, everybody we know that has a water garden, if they've got a garden, they always say, Mike, do you want these pods? Yep. Mike, do you want this? Yep. So for us, making one of these pumpkins is not a huge expense. The biggest expense is buying the pumpkin, and they were kind of high this year. And over here, remember when I told you about that big glob of glue? Well, that big glob of glue is going to be gone. Voila. When you're doing one of these, be mindful that you want to bring some of the elements to each section of the pumpkin, except for normally I try not, if I've got large flowers in the back, I'm not going to put any large flowers in the front. I will use filler for that. Okay, we need to bring in some colors of fall in here. And again, do not worry about every leaf being completely in place, that every petal is where you think looks like perfection. Because that's not the way nature is. A lot of times the beauty is in the imperfection. Now this side of the pumpkin, here, we have intentionally left kind of blank, but you want it to go with the rest of the pumpkin. If I were doing a round pumpkin that was meant to be displayed in, let's say, a round table, on a round table in a dining room or in a kitchen, I would decorate it differently, and you would too. You would see how balance is necessary, especially on one that's going on into an area where it's going to be seen from all sides at one time. But I know where this one is going to be displayed, and the important thing that you want to see in this pumpkin is this area. And again, do not be too concerned about glue, because a lot of these places where we've added leaves, we'll be putting a filler on some of those, and that will disappear. Now we're going to go with a little bit different leaf. You can go in, and depending on how you want to actually use your pumpkin, I didn't bring anything Halloween up, but if you wanted to change from Halloween just into fall for Thanksgiving, until Thanksgiving, you can stick in a couple of little witch figures, or some little ghosts, or some little bats. But I'm more concerned, normally when I'm doing these, the bounty of fall. We are so blessed that the Lord has provided us with so much. And every year, it's the harvest that reminds us how lucky we actually are. Not Christmas, you know. And really not Thanksgiving per se. It's the harvest. You've worked for it. Nature has provided the nutrients that are necessary to sustain us. We have those people that, wonderful farmers that farm the land, provide us with food, and then at the end of the year, we get to see what we have. And we should all be so thankful for that. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add.
You gonna add nuts?
Yeah, I'm going to add some nuts. These are from a bur oak tree. And I have yet another lady on my route that has the most beautiful bur oak trees in her yard. And I trip over these nuts from about the middle of September until the snow starts flying. But these nuts are providing sustenance for the squirrels. And it's just kind of nice to think about that.
If you like squirrels.
Well, I don't particularly care for squirrels, but it's nice that nature provides for itself.
Yes.
Gosh, it kind of sounds like, here we are, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Oh!
I know, you were worrying me there for a minute.
Ah, that passed. And if you're making a pumpkin, don't be afraid to be random. Random is good. And this is one thing that anybody can, I swear to you, I so appreciate people that have skills. I really don't have any artistic skills. I can't draw,
you see that, right?
I can't paint. Hey, with a hot glue gun, I'm Picasso. All right, guys, we're going to move on to our next thing. We'll be adding some of this stuff as we go, but I just want to give you an idea of the materials that I'm using. And Mark will be, he doesn't know it yet, but he'll be delivering this tomorrow to Miss Maggie. Now, we're going to go in and we're going to take some smaller flowers. Get in there, stinker. We're just filling in as we go. Just random. Scissors. There, stinker. Now I'm just going to be adding some fillers in. Just something to give it a little dimension and break up some of the the greens. And I hope I'm not boring y'all. And look right down here. Can you show them down in here?
Yeah.
See where that pod is? And that leaf? And all you see is some glue. That's what you use your filler for. Whether it's a filler flower, a filler leaf. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna lay another one in right next to it. Just like that. See, that gap is gone. And again, I'm bringing some of this filler. Just to distribute the same colors throughout the pumpkin. The biggest problem you'll have on some of these is if, like this filler here that I'm using, it's a rubbery material, and sometimes that's difficult because the stem will start to melt. Be patient, it will go in and you'll be all good. I think we'll put another one of these happy little flowers up here. See, doesn't he look happy right there?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to take in, because I want to have another color in here. What do I do with my I'm just going to take some of these small berries, drop them in. Like I say, after this is all over with, it'll take me a half hour, 45 minutes, just pulling out the dang strings. And I'm sorry, I'd like to say I've got something to say to you, but I'm not sure what that would be at this point. All I'm doing is filling in.
Artiste at work.
Uh-huh. Okay. Basically, what's going to be displayed is this section. Probably a little more at the angle. But we're going to be putting it in a basket here in a minute. I will probably have to go in and I'm always making a change. At this point, you could, if you wanted to use ribbon, make a bow. But I know that the person that I'm making this for is not a horribly frilly person, and which I don't understand, because this woman has got the most beautiful collection of head bases. She and her mother collected head bases since Maggie was a little girl. And she has some of the most beautiful case after case after case. Unbelievable. But she's not a real frilly person. But she does love mid-century. Stick in another little filler piece here. Okay. Now, we're gonna make one more decision. Where are my feathers?
Well, these are the only two she found.
Oh, well, we may or we may not use feathers. I've got a big group of them someplace, but I'm not sure where they went. But we moved everything from my other work area to here. Unfortunately, I seem to have misplaced those somewhere in the confusion. We may put a couple of feathers in here. Let's see. Who needs it? Well, we may not this time. We may. Let's see what we got going here. See if we've got our place. Maybe we'll just put all three of them coming out the same way. There we go. I'm happy with that one. As Mark will attest, I'm never happy completely with anything that I do.
That is so true.
Well, that sounds bad, but I think the people that make things are their worst critics. And they shouldn't be.
Oh, that's anybody and everybody. I do the same thing when I'm cooking. You do the same thing when you're cooking.
Well, there's a
He
reason.
does cook occasionally. We had potato soup last night.
I can fix some potato soup. Which I think is funny. When I was growing up, we weren't wealthy people. And potato soup was cheap. What did we spend, Mark? Like $32 for the ingredients to make potato soup last night. It seems a little pricey to me, but you know, it is what it is. All right.
It's all the extras that he had to have in it.
Well, you know what? I'm not sure I'm going to allow him to hold on to that camera. Now, we're going to do one last thing, just because we can.
Uh-oh.
I know. Now this paint is different. Oh, yeah, I'm wearing it.
Good job.
Yeah. And again, it is what it is. Man, that's running. We're going to go in. I better shake that up a little more. Again, I'm using a small sponge brush, and I'm going to go in. My pine cones. Give them just a little touch of glitter. Not a whole lot, just a little bit on the edges. A lot of the secret to some of this is just don't think about it. Just don't worry that this isn't going to be right, that's not going to be right. I guarantee once we shut off the camera, I will make 25 more changes to it before I'm done with it.
And then I'm gonna have to film the
No, he's not.
last
We're
piece.
We're finished with that. Now you can always go in if you decide that you want an all over glittery kind of pumpkin. You can go back in with the same paint that we used here, which is a different type of paint. You can go back in and you can even tip in on the flowers. You could do the berries if you wanted to, but I like to leave part of it natural matte colors and then some shiny in with it, just to give it a little bit of contrast. But I may have to rethink some of those feathers, but I like them all right.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna call it quits. I think it's saying stop, Mike, stop.
Okay. Twooldguysvintage and Resale.
Mr. Glitterfingers. I hope you could stick it out, and we really appreciate it. Now don't forget, we have a YouTube station, a YouTube channel that y'all need to be watching and subscribing to, And we have eBay store, Twooldguysvintage and Resale. We appreciate it. We appreciate you sticking by and watching it. You guys have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Yeah, whatever.
And here we have the finished product.
And I'm actually cleaning.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
Bye.